Hey friend, today is an exciting day for me, and if you're listening to this podcast live, Thursday the 15th of May 25, it is insanely exciting because only today I'll give you something that I've never given anybody before, and you also get a chance to make a decision today. Let me explain. Today on the podcast, I have compiled a number of lessons and I'm opening the door into my turnaround program for you because today is the day where a small group of moms is actually walking with me. I'm taking them by the hand and they're in a small implementation group with me where they can ask me questions every week. And I'm inspiring every week so they don't have to go through the program on their own. And they don't have to only have one Q&A session per month and a community. They actually get to have me by their side as they're going through the program. This is something I'm not going to do again anytime soon, and you're not going to be able to join that after today. So not only will I open my doors into the turnaround program, give you a taster of what they are seeing in there today, but I'm also here to tell you that if you're listening today, this is the last day for you to join that group. You cannot join it tomorrow. You cannot join it later. You cannot join it after the summer break. I'm doing it now. I'm not doing it later. So in many ways, there's a lot at stake today. And before you open that door into my Mindset Foundation course, which is the foundation that I built the whole turnaround process on top of, I want to tell you one thing. What you are hearing is not the way that you'd be going through lessons inside my program. First of all, there are no tools there. You are not getting the actual implementation tools, the knowledge-based tools, yes, but not the implementation tools. You're not going to be able to use it to change your child. And also you get a long session of lessons that's compiled into one podcast. Normally it would be 8 to 15 minutes long videos, not long sessions, because I'm all about learning, practicing, and then implementing it. I don't want to fill you with a lot of information that you don't know what to do with. You've done enough of that. So, without further ado, let's pretend that you just signed up, that you made the decision. This season is the season where I'm going to turn my child's symptoms around. And you just opened the door, and here we are. We're doing it in this season. Now, if you want to make it a reality, this is today that you have to make that decision. Send me an email, contact@barefootautismwarriors.com, or use one of the links in the description. If you're watching this podcast because you're curious about the program any other day than Thursday, May 25, there'll be a link to join a waitlist to join the turnaround program as a normal student with monthly Q&A calls. That will be the two choices you have to make today. Do I do it with Ninka this season, or do I sign up on a waitlist and not know when and if I'm going to do it? Let's begin. Welcome to the Mindset Foundation course, and let me take a moment to celebrate with you how significant this step is that you have taken. I want to tell you that the journey that you are about to start is going to be the most important journey of your life, and I am honored and I take it very seriously to make sure that you get what you came here to achieve. And I want you to be in a place when you are at the end of this Mindset Foundation course and the 5 phases in the turnaround process, which follows, where you can look at a symptom, any symptom, you know exactly why that symptom happened, and you know what to do about it, meaning you know what works and what doesn't work for your child. That's the number one outcome. But beyond that and behind that is a deeper goal, which is we want to get your child to less and less symptoms and more independence, because that gives you the freedom that you have lost in the dark phases of autism. We don't just want less symptoms and more independence for your child. Our goal is more independence for you. Now, independence looks different from person to person, but it might look a little bit like mine and the moms that I've helped so far in this turnaround process, where all of a sudden you realize you can go shopping without tantrums and without constantly monitoring your child. You can be part of social situations. You can go visit friends. You can be on your own. You can read a book and your child's playing with other people. You can see your child having a life apart from you and you having a life apart from your child. And that means that your perspective and the outcome of your life suddenly shifts completely, because you can imagine your child being part of more of a normal setting, maybe even having a wife, maybe have a job, managing his or her own finances and education maybe. But most importantly, you don't have to fear that what happens if I die. And you can start to live your life and be the mother that you want to be for other siblings, be the woman, the wife that you wanted to be the friend that you long to be, and to go out and find your purpose. So in order to do that, we need to build the foundation for you to stand on. Very different to what's happening in the autism coaching, autism recovery, autism diet, autism practitioner world out there, and autism mom communities, where it's all about finding the right person to tell you what to do, and then looking for the next shiny object, diet, protocol, practitioner, test, or modality to fix a symptom. This is completely different and a 360-degree shift in your perspective. And the reason why we're not doing it the way that they do it out in the world is because it doesn't work. You wouldn't be here if it did, and we wouldn't have the epidemic that has developed simultaneously as all these modalities came up since my son was diagnosed. It's nothing new. The diets, the protocols, the supplements, the practitioners, functional medicine, all that stuff is not new. But we still have an increase in autism worldwide. So the first thing that I need to say to you is that belief is really important. This is why the Mindset Foundation course is created. You have to believe that this is possible for you, and this is not something you do by will, even though it might sound like it. But you have to have a belief that this will work for you. And then we need to do certain things to support that belief. Then you have to believe in me, to be the one to lead you through this crisis, hold you in a vulnerable situation, and give you the tools that you need to move through this dark phase of your life to get to the other side. But most importantly, you need to believe that God has a plan for you through this, that He's going to shape you, help you. He has a plan for your child, which He created as well, and that His goal is not for you to suffer. Right now, you can only see the current moment, but He has a long-term plan, and that will become more and more clear as you move through the phases. Finding peace and finding answers is what we're here to do. And look at it this way. We are putting wheels on the vehicle that's going to take you to more independence for you and your child and less symptoms. We can't get anywhere without the wheels, and that's what we are building in the Mindset Foundation course. That's why you can't skip it. You can't skip any step. You can't skip any lesson. Don't skip any exercise. Don't rush through it, because this is your foundation. And if this foundation is weak, you will have to come back here to fix it, because things will collapse and you won't see the same results as those who are building a solid foundation. Secondly, this is about practicing listening and language skills. Mindset coursework is less about forcing something and more about learning how to listen and interpret symptoms. It's like learning a language. To interpret your child's symptoms, you need to learn the language of the turnaround process. That's not something you learn overnight. Not even within the first 3 weeks, you become fluent in that language. It's something that takes time, so please be patient. Learning a language is also shifting your perspective, and it's deepening your understanding, your maturity, wisdom, and your ability to understand and comprehend what is going on here. Mindset is all about setting the mind on things that will bring you closer to your goal. You are moving towards the person that God has planned for you to become and away from the one that you used to be. So mindset is about setting the mind on what will get you there, shifting the perspective and supporting thoughts and actions that will get you to where you want to go. It is a renewing of your mind, but it's also a renewing of your life. You're renewing your thinking, your purpose and outcome. So neuroscience supports this, epigenetics supports this, and spiritually it is supported that this actually works. So your old life is gone, the new is here. That doesn't mean that you won't be tempted back into your old life numerous times, but the more solid your wheels, the better your language and listening skills, the less vulnerable you are to setbacks and regression, which will happen, but then you know what to do about them. Why does your thoughts create life in the body and life to your child and changes your child's mental health, symptoms, and outcome? Because thoughts and feelings affect the heart, creates cascades throughout the body. And it either strengthens your life and your body, or it weakens your life and your body and your child. So distractions, negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, anxious thoughts, and anxious environment puts you in a state in your heart and creates cascades of stress in the body that steals life from the body and steals your peace and makes it impossible for you to be in the state of peace which we need to be in order to understand symptoms and help our children. So it weakens the body, it weakens the immune system, it weakens the gut, it weakens the detoxification pathways, which is why we talk about this so much. Without the right mindset and without the right state of your heart, you cannot help your child, because if you're thinking thoughts that are ruining all the things, gut, health, immune system, detoxification, you cannot help your child. So we are not going to dive deep into the neuroscience and the brain plasticity and the plasticity of the nervous system in this part of the turnaround program, but I will tell you that the brain is plastic and it can change, and so is the nervous system, in ways that affect your child's behavior, your child's speech, development, mental health, physical health, but also propensity for developing, resisting, or preventing severe illness down the line. What I want to mention here is two things. Neuroscience has shown that it's a pathway of information that has effects on the body, and that thoughts creates patterns that manifests physically, not only in you, but also in your child. So the more we think a particular thought, the stronger the connection between the synapses. And the brain changes itself based on the thoughts that we are thinking. So negative thoughts, neurons that fire together, wire together. So you hardwire the negativity, the stress in the body that affects the body negatively, and your nervous system is affected by it, and the nervous system is plastic. Your child picks up on both nervous system and your thoughts and the state of your heart, and mimics not only that, but also the negative side effects in the gut and the detoxification and the immune system that comes from that. Let me blow your mind with two more points here. One is neuroscientific. We know that from neuroscience that if we change the way we think, we change the outcome physically, but also our behavior, our cognition, our focus, our mental health. but it's more than that. There was a study done where a group of people were blindfolded for days, not a long period of time, but just for some days. And within days, because they were blindfolded and they were monitored, they developed heightened skills for auditory processing and other sensory inputs. So the brain started to change how it perceived the world and used different channels, the senses and the ears, within days. And that completely shifted the perspective. So you can do the same thing by blindfolding the old thoughts and negative thoughts, and I'll teach you how, but I just want to tell you the reason why. By blindfolding negative thinking, and in the mindset course, the distractions, the self-sabotage patterns, addicted to autism PDFs, the reflection guides, all the knowledge-based tools that you're getting about distractions and peace stealers is building the foundation for you to get there in the mindset course and throughout the turnaround process in all the phases. You can do that by using those tools to blindfold the thoughts that won't get you to a place where you can see more independence for your child, where you can look at a symptom and know why it happened and what to do about it. It requires this blindfolding and using the strategies in the mindset course to do that. Change neural pathways and change the brain, we need to change our focus and what we concentrate on, and that is the renewal of the mind. That is setting the mind on the right things. And in the course, this mindset course foundation, and in all the phases, you're getting the tools to do that on a daily basis. So do it, use them. Because self-sabotage is a whole nother story for phase 3, where you're learning about it in the Mindset Foundation as well. But that is what prevents you from doing it. So what is number 2 thing that I promise to blow your mind with? That is the spiritual aspect of this. Listen to Romans 8:6. It proves what I just said from God's perspective, God's truth. The mind governed by flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace. So God has literally created us to change our outcome, our life and our body, and thereby our children's life and body with our thinking and our mindset. So 2 Corinthians 10:5, we destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against God and take every thought captive to obey Christ. That's what we are here to do. Let's go. I want to quickly just go through some of the traps that I see moms fall into that will block the turnaround process, slow down the process, hold you back, and prolong the turnaround process for you. So in order for you to not experience that, let me share what that is so that you can notice when that comes up for you. Number 1 is to try and do both things. You have one foot in the old way, looking for remedies, trying things out, don't really want to let go of homeopathy practitioners and the testing because you're thinking, shouldn't I just do everything all at once? And that is a massive trap. If you don't focus on developing the language skill to interpret the symptom for your child, and if you focus on getting rid of the symptoms, you won't understand the message behind each symptom. You need that to be able to develop the language skills that will take you to less symptoms and more independence, hopefully. That's what we're here to do, to turn every stone to get your child to the best possible outcome and more independence and less symptoms. Every symptom has a message for you about what needs to change. A message for you about the state of your nervous system, the state of your heart, the state of your walk, either in integrity with God, self, and others, or out of integrity with God, self, and others. So look at it this way. Every symptom has a hidden escape plan. And if you try to kill, bind, treat, or find remedies for it, you won't understand this escape plan, and you won't understand what this symptom actually asks you to change. Focusing on the child, focusing on cures. Focusing on symptoms won't get you there. Number 2 is impatience or rushing through the modules and lessons, or skipping even one PDF, one audio, or just ticking boxes. If you're an A-type perfectionist personality overperformer, you'll have a tendency to skip through the whole thing, ticking boxes like you did in school or university or wherever you came from. And that is the opposite of what's going to get you to the place where you can interpret symptoms and know what to do about them. Because you need to receive that information from God in your body. Your body is a receiver for information, and you will know in your heart what is right and wrong when you get there. But if you rush through this, get into perfectionism mode, operate from a trauma response, you'll learn more about that in module 3, by the way. But if you detach from the body by being a head on a stick, armoring up and relying on your intellect, you won't get the depth of healing and understanding that you need. So that's number 2 reason why I want you to be slow. I want you to move through a module and then take a week to reflect on it. Take the time to complete the reflection workbook after each phase. And in the mindset course, it's when you have completed all 3 modules. I want you to take time to reflect and meditate on what you have learned so that it lands instead of just consumes you with information. You are changing your life, your perspective, and you are developing into the expert you've been looking for your whole life. You cannot do that by filtering out the vulnerable parts, your heart, your soul, the spiritual parts. Also, the perfectionists and overperformers tend to not like the vulnerable side of this journey and skip that. And the more you skip the vulnerable and the difficult parts, the patience, the silence and peace that you need, the less results you'll see. Number 3 is to use this turnaround process as a self-sabotage tool in itself. What do I mean by that? You go into the community and try to please everybody because that's what you've done all your life. Or you go into the community and you feel invisible and you feel like you're not good enough, or your child is not bad enough, or your child is worse than everybody else. You're comparing yourself to other moms, while you are here to find your unique puzzle piece collection to complete the healing puzzle for you. The community will mirror blind spots and work as an opportunity for you to heal pain that you might have from not being seen, not being included, not feeling worthy in your life. And that's something that we'll address in phase 3, but I'm just mentioning it here. If you're comparing, you are not looking at us as your sisters, and as we are in this boat together. We are all here with different wounds. No child is too bad or worse or not good enough or not bad enough to be here. This is the place to be, to become an expert, to get your child to more independence and less symptoms. Everyone here has a lesson for you, just like the symptoms. And the more triggered you are by somebody, and the more emotionally charged your reaction is against the turnaround process or people, it's a sign that there's some underlying grief and pain that's not addressed yet, and that it's the unhealed parts that also show up as symptoms in our children later on. You'll understand that when you learn about the language again. So I'm just mentioning it so that you don't fall into that trap. And then leaving when you are at a breakthrough because it looks like a breakdown. So regression will happen again and again. Regression, like symptoms, are an opportunity for you to go deeper in your understanding of what triggers symptoms, go deeper in your understanding of your own boundaries, your understanding of trauma, your understanding of your own symptoms and what they mean. Regression is an opportunity to deepen. It's not an opportunity to leave. It's not a sign that it's not working. It is a sign that you're going deeper, developing, expanding your listening skills and your language skills. Most people leave the turnaround program right before a massive breakthrough, and they leave because they're triggered by the God part. They leave because they're triggered by other people. They leave because they're triggered hidden trauma responses of perfectionism, overperformance, paralysis, worthlessness. And these are the things that we are healing together later on in the turnaround program. So don't leave prematurely. Most people actually leave when they've had results, when they are just getting close to closure and to the goal that they are here to fulfill. And that has a spiritual aspect too, because the enemy wants you to self-sabotage. The enemy does not want your child to heal. The enemy does not want God's plan to be revealed. So be mindful of that too. Here is one of the most tricky traps that moms fall into when they come into the turnaround process. And it's a self-sabotage pattern that is sophisticated. The more intelligent you are, the more sophisticated your self-sabotage patterns will be. So feeling good is actually not something that most people, especially autism moms, especially if you have experienced stress and trauma in your life, is used to. The brain will try to prevent you from experiencing change, even if the changes, maybe even particularly if the changes means that you and your child will feel better, simply because it is unusual. A sophisticated brain will use sophisticated methods to try to make sure that you think thoughts that will make you quit, turn against yourself, and not be reliable and not live up to the promise that you made to yourself and to your child to turn symptoms around, turn every stone, and complete this program. Now, I'm not saying this to keep you in my program. I'm saying this because nothing is more sad than trauma and resistance to change. Brain will resist change until we hardwire an affinity for change, which we will do in the Mindset Foundation course and throughout the program with our neuroprogramming exercises. But the brain doesn't like change, and change equals danger in a stressed system. If you're used to chaos, yelling, shouting, eloping, monitoring your child, you have a lot of cortisol, adrenaline, pain and grief, that is your normality, and that's what the brain will try to maintain. With your thinking, it will sound like, oh, I don't have time for this. I can't focus on myself this much. I need to focus on my child. I need to go back. Why is this not working yet? And that is also the enemy's voice, because the enemy, you'll learn much more about that as we go through the turnaround process. The enemy is also called the accuser. That's the opposite of God's voice. And the accuser will tell you that you're not going to make it, you should do something else, you should do this on your own, you should lean on your own understanding, you're too late, got to do something more, and you're not doing enough. This is dangerous because it will actually make you resistant to change. I will teach you all about how to avoid this. I'm just saying this so that you know that there's a part of you that wants change and there's a part of you that does not want change. And that part needs to be healed and understood, and we will do that together. But just notice this, okay? Then there's another thing. If you are in a state of powerlessness, and that's typically what happens to moms that become autism moms, they have lived life feeling powerless, feeling like their decisions for whatever it was, their yes, their no, their education, boundaries, all of that had to do with pleasing others. If you have lived a life where you felt powerless, you can use the turnaround process to take back power by failing at that as well. Now that might sound crazy, but if you're feeling powerless, there's no better way than regaining power by proving to me that you can't be healed either. You're here for a reason. So if that's something that comes up, you need to examine that, and you'll get the tools for that as well. What is it in you that felt so powerless that now you have to take back power by proving that this will be a failure as well? It's a strange way of regaining power from a trauma response, but it works because it gives you a sense of control. The problem is that the control will block the turnaround not only for you, but for your child as well. I just had to add these two self-sabotage patterns so that you keep your eye on for them. The only thing that I can't do for you in order to heal this is press play and actually move through the lessons, the phases, and the PDFs where you find the tools to deal with this. In the symptoms tracker, you will find 2 very valuable PDFs and lessons to heal trauma and to understand the symptom that I'm seeing in my child right now. Is it a trauma response? Is it linked to nutrition? Is it linked to my nervous system? And where do I find the tools for it in the turnaround program? So it's called the symptoms tracker. If you go into the symptoms tracker course because you don't know what to do with the symptom, you're confused, you have to go through all the mini lessons, all the PDFs, and the trauma healing session as well in order to get the full benefit. There's also a level of awareness PDF in the symptoms tracker that I really encourage you to read, because it will tell you exactly where you're at, what tools you're missing, what's the characteristics for the level of awareness that you are in, and how to move to higher levels of awareness, which also will speed up the turnaround process. So that's it, my friends. The turnaround program is much more than what you've learned here. You only had a fraction of the experience. You only had a couple of lessons in module 1 in the mindset foundation. So the turnaround process is 5 phases, and we go through a phase to heal nature deficiency, a phase, and each phase is a month. A phase where we are focusing on environment, a phase where we are focusing, because you can't heal in the same environment that got you sick. We are then healing stress, trauma, and self-sabotage patterns and wounds, because wounds act as entry points for the enemy and also for self-sabotage and blocking turnaround results. So we're spending 4 months there. Then we're diving into bio-individual nutrition, where you're becoming an expert in adjusting methylation, minerals, knowing these things, all the things that the practitioners don't know out there, all the missing links and gaps, you will learn. It's like a certification in becoming a biomedical expert for your child. That's in phase 5. So that's the turnaround program. If you have been lurking and you've been thinking, this is something I want to do, there's no better time than now, because I won't be doing it with people, with you, like I'm doing it now. Later, I'm doing that now. Write me an email, contact@barefootautismwarriors.com, or follow the link in the description wherever you're listening to the podcast.